again, everybody. Welcome to the Backbone Podcast, where common sense still makes sense in a world that is sick and only getting sicker. And today, we prepare for tomorrow's huge clash. Without question, the best game of the weekend, whether you call it NFL or college, it doesn't matter. This is the battle of the two top teams in the nation for Big Ten supremacy, and the Big Ten has surpassed every other conference in the country. I never thought you'd see the day when the SEC would have to take a backseat to anybody, but it has happened. On Saturday, number 1 Ohio State take on number 2 Indiana at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. It's a battle that will pit the final two undefeated teams against each other for conference supremacy. Ohio State and Indiana have been the two best teams all season. There's no question about that. It's only fitting, and it only serves us right that they'll face each other in what could be, no matter who loses, wins or loses tomorrow, it could be a preview to the national championship game. That is a big possibility. The game carries everything. Intrigue, drama. Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza and quarterback Julian Sayin for Ohio State are both Heisman Trophy contenders. But if Indiana can pull this victory off, and Mendoza's going to have to put up a Doug Flutie-like performance, it'll all but solidify his Heisman win. If Indiana wins tomorrow, once they get the Big Ten trophy, they should just hand the Heisman to Mendoza, because it's all but over. This game will decide who wins that award. Last season, Ohio State dominated Indiana in Columbus on their way to winning the national championship. Curt Cignetti, who has been an absolute genius, the man is just brilliant, what he did with Indiana, because Indiana is a basketball school. Now, we all know he took a lot of stuff with him from his previous school that he worked at. Players, coaches, all that. And he did that wouldn't have been possible 10 years ago. But the transformation that he made with Indiana, who was a second-tier Big Ten school at best, to make them 60 minutes away from being Big Ten champions and make them national championship contenders, it's insane, the job that this guy has done. And he's been rewarded. He's got, a $93 million contract extension for the next 9 years or whatever it is. And he deserves every penny of it. Who deserves $93 million for, telling guys what to do with the football? But in this case, he's earned it. And tomorrow he goes into the biggest game of his life, along with Mendoza, to see if they can somehow stop this freight train of success in Columbus. Ohio State has a top scoring defense in college football this season. They're allowing, it's an absurd 7.8 points per game. But guess who's second best defense in the country? It's Indiana. They're allowing a little over 10 points per game this season. And it isn't a fluke. Indiana hasn't allowed more than 24 points in a game this year. And that came against that incredible game against Penn State. When Indiana played Oregon, who averages over 38 points per game, Indiana marched into Oregon and beat the Ducks 35-20. 7 of Oregon's points came on a pick six. So they shut down a tremendous Oregon team on the road in their building to 13 offensive points. That's very impressive. And it's the Indiana front seven that are going to keep Indiana in this game, and they're going to keep this game close. I don't think that this is going to be a very high-scoring game. I don't think anybody's going to score 40. That's for sure. And Indiana have tremendous players. They have a tremendous tackle. They have the big tight end in Fisher. They have the corner and the safety who are first teamers. Indiana is loaded on defense. Loaded. And this is essentially a home game for them. I think that they'll do very, very well for the most part in this game. We have to remember that the difference between Ohio State and everybody else are those two freak wide receivers, and both of those wide receivers are probably going to go in the top 10 of the draft next year. Shutting them down is almost impossible. Michigan tried to man up on them, and what happened? Smith broke a 35-yarder for a TD. The man is insane. The kid's insane. Now, with that said, about Ohio State and Indiana's defenses, and these are the two best defenses in the country. We all know that. Can they keep these wide receivers under control? I think for the most part they can. I think Cignetti knows that if he can't really man up, go one-on-one with these wide receivers for the whole game. I just don't think he's going to allow that. Both teams have very opportunistic defenses and multiple skill position players who will play on Sunday who will play on the championship game on Saturday. They have incredible, bright quarterbacks. So the big lights, the moment, probably won't affect them, especially the kid in Ohio State, because he's already looking like a seasoned pro the way he plays. Nothing rattles him. Both of these guys can lay claim to being the best quarterback in the country. And this game will, as I said before, will legitimize the Heisman Trophy race. Will this game be close? I think it's going to be a classic. And I think that if Ohio State gets those wide receivers going, it'll be in the fourth quarter. I think Cignetti will take a page out of Bill Belichick's playbook, I should say. And he's going to pick his poison of which wide receiver he's going to take his chance with. I don't believe it'll be Jeremiah Smith. I think that they will clamp down on him. He's the best player in college football. He's legitimate top pick. I don't. People think he's going to be a pick in the 27 draft. I think he can come out next year if he wants. I mean, he's a sophomore, but he is just dominating. I don't believe that he will be the difference maker in this game, because I think Indiana are just they're going to clamp on him. So you're going to look at the other guy, Carnell Tate, who he's projected to be a top 10 pick. He's a junior. He's another guy that can blast you. And they have the running backs. And they have very good tight ends. The question is, will Indiana be able to contain Smith and Tate for 60 minutes? In the end, will their play be the difference in the game? That is what everybody is wondering. And that's what people are trying to figure out. Now, Ohio State, I thought before the line came out, I thought Ohio State would be an easy 10-point favorite. They're not. At the moment of this broadcast, of this broadcast, they were a -5. I'm sorry, 4. They're a 4-point favorite, which tells you something. Last week they had a tremendous, emotional, hard-fought, even though they won by 3 touchdowns, hard-fought game against Michigan. That is a very, very big game for them. It takes a lot of energy out of them. They put their blood, sweat, tears, and souls into that fucking game. Will they have enough for this one? Will they have enough for Indiana? I don't think Indiana is going to run roughshod all these guys. That's not going to happen. But I think we're going to see a classic. And I think it'll come down to a field goal. And call me crazy, but I'm calling for the upset. Because I'm a romantic. What's the point of watching the favorite win all the time? Indiana 20, Ohio State 17. I don't think this is the last time these two teams will face each other this season. I think Cignetti will figure out a way to keep those wide receivers under control, and he's going to make somebody else beat them. Will they get pressure on the quarterback? That will be another test of that front seven. Can they contain the running game? Can they keep those wide receivers at bay? It's almost as if Cignetti has to choose between the quick death, letting those wide receivers run free and taking your chances with your secondary, or the slow death of taking those wide receivers away and letting the Buckeyes just run it and throw stuff underneath and try to move the football that way and force them into mistakes. I think that's what Indiana will do. I think Cignetti is a better coach than Day, even though Day's won the national championship, but he's at a powerhouse school. What Cignetti has done with an Indiana team, with this Indiana team, with that school, is utterly remarkable. And he deserves all the credit. And he deserves all the accolades. And I think tomorrow night around 11 o'clock, Eastern Standard Time, I should say, you'll see that. I think this will be a classic, hard-hitting, old-fashioned Big Ten football game. I think these guys are going to smack each other around. It'll come down to a play by the defenses, by one of these defenses, and I think it'll be Indiana's. And I think they'll have just enough to become Big Ten champions tomorrow night. Indiana 20, Ohio State 17. There's my 2 cents. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks again for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share. Remember, my friends, Satan is always busy. Be a man, have a backbone, because masculinity and common sense are worth standing up for. And remember, if it ends in an ism, it's a mental disorder. Enjoy the football. It's going to be great. We'll see you later.